Are we ready for this?
Wow, I feel like you've come down a little bit.
I don't know that I have. Let's see.
We went from really up there to.
Well, I let it all out, and now we got to get in the zone, man.
Okay.
Is this going to stay alive, by the way?
It should.
Oh, okay.
And if it doesn't, I will figure it out.
All right.
So, Guy.
Yes.
Yeah. You ever feel like academia is just one long crisis hotline where you're the only one picking up the phone?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Because life, every week there's something that is happening with one of our students, sometimes more than one of our students, whether it's some student who sends a cryptic email and you're starting to wonder if they're okay, somebody who just announces that they are going through a divorce and this is a really difficult time. And this is really happening. I don't want to say that I'm complaining because I am not. I love my students. I want to care for them. But there's quite a bit. And the truth is that we still need to do our job. We still need to come into class and teach and meet with anybody who needs to meet and do our research and publish and write. And so all of this is together. That's quite a bit.
Right, because suddenly, like this notion of professor, you're not just a researcher or an instructor, you're a therapist, you're a lawyer, you're a social worker, you're a caregiver, and kind of like this tarot card reader. I've always wanted to be Miss Cleo, but that's never happened.
Yeah, I never wanted to be Miss Cleo, but okay.
You know, so all of that, why would you limit yourself? Growth mindset, Guy.
Okay. I have room to grow, obviously.
You too could have a fraudulent 1-900 number to tell people what their future is. But anyway, right? You're all of these things rolled up into one. And how are you supposed to get your job done?
And that's basically the care paradox. Higher ed tells us that we need to nurture human potential. And the truth is that we want to do all of this, but we have limited capacity, limited time, and we have our own life. So when we say life, many things happen to us as well. And we need to deal with that as well. And we are not mental health professionals. And that's something that we sometimes forget.
No, sometimes we need mental health professionals.
You know my feeling about this. Always need a mental health professional, but we are not one.
Right? So like, how do you keep your sanity in a place where every interaction matters? Right? So today we're asking, how can you care for your students, for your colleagues without collapsing? And what is the line between making sure you're showing up for yourself without setting yourself on fire for other people's warmth? Like, that's not okay. We are not sacrificial lambs. We are not martyrs.
So these are big questions. And we have actually a framework to help you think through that. Actually, 3 frameworks.
Ooh.
But it's like an umbrella.
Look at him planning the extensive episodes.
To at least make the burnout feel a little less inevitable and help us put the boundaries. Because I was thinking about this recently. Eventually, when we have to report on our work during the year, this is not what we're going to talk about. The expectations of the institution is, did you teach the classes we paid you to teach? Did you do the research you're supposed to do? Did you get grants?
But also, interestingly, every interaction matters. So
it does matter.
You don't do those things. So there is this tension, right? Between what the institution wants and what it says it wants. But you're right, the reporting doesn't cover everything.
And I'm not trying to say because the reporting doesn't cover, don't do it. I actually truly believe in every interaction matters. And I try to do my best, but we do need boundaries
because every interaction might matter, but it might matter differently.
Yes.
And so I hate a Hallmark slogan with no nuance. And with that, I'm Nick Husbye. I'm here at UNL as the crankiest elementary literacy K-6 associate professor ever. And our master of script preparation is
Trainin, and I'm a professor here at UNL, and I think I'm competing for the most foul-mouthed, not on this episode, but in general, professor in at least our department.
Have we met?
We have.
Okay. We'll go with that. All right. After the theme song. I don't know how to vote. Okay. Guy, talk to me about how to be a more caring individual because maybe I need it.
I think that the first thing, and we started with this, the first thing you have to remember is we're in the equation of care. We are not outside that equation, and our job is not just to take care of everybody else. You talked about, burning out to warm up others, and that's basically where we start. And there's a real difference between, are you present for your students, for the people who are turning to you, or are you overinvested? And this is where really starting to think about what are some boundaries you want to put a priori to your students and to yourself. And I think it starts with yourself, because if you say things to your students and then you break that on a regular basis, that's going to be a problem. So for example, when are you available to students? I always suggest, I give students, for example, my cell phone number, because that's the only phone number we have. And I don't mind. But I also tell them that my cell phone turns off at 10 p.m. at the latest, probably before that. So any messages will not be received. So they can send messages and they can call, but I am not going to respond. Mostly outside work hours, but I am not even getting these notices until the next morning. So if you have something that you need and it's more urgent than that, then you need to turn to somebody who can help you at that time, because I'm just not available. This is how I protect myself. So time is a way to think about putting these boundaries and keeping those boundaries up. And one of the things that I need as help is I literally have my phone on silent and there's no way to reach me because I'm well known as somebody who would break his own rules. So if there's a technology that helps me keep those rules, that is helpful.
And I think there's something to helping students understand when something is truly urgent.
Yes.
And when it's not. Like, if you're missing class the next day, that's not necessarily urgent in and of itself. But if you're missing class because, let's say, a family member was in a car accident, that's slightly more urgent than, oh, hey, I'm a wedding party member in this wedding that's happening. Good for you, mazel. But that's not urgent.
Yes.
Right? Even if I have to do some emergency dry cleaning on the bridesmaid, still not urgent. No one's going to, no one's health is impacted there, right? So I think part of this is really thinking about what's most important. And when you can just kind of say, let's not be concerned about, that's not the biggest concern right now. And that does seem somewhat cold to people.
But it's actually the best thing you can do.
But it's probably one of the best things you can do because it brings them down a notch. This is not as important as your brain is making you think it is. And I'm telling you that as an external person.
And we will work it out. So my message is, let's get through your crisis. If there's a family crisis, for example, right now, don't worry about class or don't worry about if this paper is going to be 2 days late. Take care of what you need to take care of. Take a deep breath and then we'll get together, we'll see what you missed and how we can make sure that you are academically okay. And again, this goes back to that understanding that we often go back to. As professor, our primary responsibility is to students' learning. And so we care through sometimes saying, let's not think about learning right now because you had this crisis. And I've had students I needed to talk to, and they said to me, well, I'm going to the funeral, but I think I'll be able to zoom in between the service and the time the family comes. And this is the moment where I say, no, please don't.
No.
Please take the time. You're underestimating the impact that's going to have on you. I'm a little bit older, or in my case right now, a lot older in most cases. And it's okay if you miss class and if this paper is late. I will not count it against you. Take care of yourself first. Because if you don't do it now, you're going to linger all semester with this thing. So, or all summer, or sometimes even longer. So take the time, exhale, and we promise that we'll take care of you. And this is a way also to protect ourselves, because now we're not working in an emergency. I have to solve this right now. We have pushed this to a time where both sides have a little bit more space to actually engage in a productive conversation. And that's really important.
It makes me think a lot of the episode we did last season around perfectionism and how that can impact these professor-student relationships and some productive ways to deal with that, because I'm not willing to escalate things because of this sense of perfectionism. And so go check out that episode if you haven't, because there we address really specifically that perfectionism piece, and it could be applicable to what's happening here. So,
and what you want to do is monitor yourself. So if you're starting to feel a lot of anxiety because a lot of things are happening at once, you want to stop and think about, why am I flooded? What can I do to reduce this load to make sure that I'm okay? Because if I'm walking into class completely flooded, I'm not a good instructor. My teaching will go way down because my brain is somewhere else. So you've got to think about and take the time to do some self-care. For example, for me, before I teach, the half an hour before I teach, again, everything is turned off. I do not answer email. I do not answer my my calls, unless it's Sarah, I think. She would say probably not. Probably not. Sometimes I just turn my phone off and I do not receive messages. This is a time to make sure that I'm in the right headspace, so when I walk into the classroom and I'm teaching, I'm completely present. And if I just had a conversation, a hard conversation just before I walked in, that's going to have a huge impact on me personally. And so that's a way to put boundaries in time and say to people, if you're calling me in this time, and I've had students on a regular basis text me that they're going to be late to class. If it's the last half an hour before class, I will get it after class. Or maybe during the break. I will not get it. And that's fine, because I can see you're not here. So that's part of it. But I think that that's a way to start putting boundaries around that. Because otherwise, if I'm rushing to help somebody 10 minutes before class, I'm not taking care of the other 29 students I have with the things I actually can impact,
right,
in a meaningful way.
Yes. No, and we always want to be thinking about, like, what actually was within our power of control, right? Like, I'm not a therapist. If you need a therapist, I can listen to you briefly, but I can't actually help you with any, like, professional stuff. So I'm going to refer you to someone else, which brings us to this notion of what happens when our institutions themselves make it really hard to show up authentically for students, for care. How do we do that work?
And for me, that starts with the institution can make it hard, but you have really an obligation. And institutions have been getting a lot better about this, to know what's available and to send students when they are having real crises. I'm not a therapist. If you're really having a difficult time dealing with a breakup or dealing with, whatever is happening in your life, I can support you academically. I can be flexible about assignments. I can listen, but I don't have the tools. So, and I really don't. Anybody that knows me knows this. And so I'm really trying to direct people to where the resources are. And I had actually a colleague, one of our colleagues once tell me, why do you talk about therapy so much? And I said, I want to make sure that our students, especially graduate students, but our students in general, think about therapy as something that everybody does or potentially does when they have a hard time. And so when the time comes, they don't think I'm patronizing them if I'm saying, are you seeing somebody? But they know I see somebody and I've shared that and I'm open about it. And now I'm asking them if they're seeing somebody because this is the time they could probably use somebody. Whether it's on campus or off campus. It's really important. And where I find it's been hardest is for our international students because that the culture of getting help of that kind is not as common. And our culture boundaries around all of that. So I just try to talk about it enough so if I have to talk about it in a moment of crisis, or not crisis, but difficulty, they know it's not, I'm not sending them
It's not a
because I
read
think they're
on
broken.
them, right?
Yes.
It's normalized,
Yes.
right? Like sometimes you just need someone to help you think through your life because you're literally in it.
But that also helps them understand that this is a specialty and this is not what an academic advisor is for. I'm happy to listen. I'm happy to share some things. But there's a point where, you know, if you've decided to do some things, and I've had students who made some what I would call questionable decisions in the middle of a program and life changes and everything else and something else happens. And I'm like, this is great, but this is the moment also to reduce it from ourselves to remember that in higher education, all of our students are adults.
Yes.
And they have agency and they have a sense of what they're doing and they need to take care of themselves and we cannot become alternative parents.
No. I have no
As much as academically we are, but not from a care perspective.
I'm their mentor, not their parent.
Okay.
Like I'm very solid in my thinking there. Boundaries, right?
Yes.
Like, and I think within those boundaries, just remembering that you are not the only person that these students encounter within their entire program.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm thinking about, in particular, in elementary education, one of the things that we are doing this year is we're playing with a system for helping us think about best ways to support our students so that as a program, we can all collaboratively respond rather than it being one person all the time. And keeping in mind that notion of no one person should be the default caregiver, right? Yeah. You don't want that to fall onto someone's plate. Ethically, there's some questions around that, both for the student and for the faculty member. And so you want to build that capacity across all of your colleagues. Like when these things happen, here's how a collective we respond and how that works. And sometimes a person who has a much more solid relationship, not everyone connects in the same way, might tackle something that's happening elsewhere, but there needs to be a system to do that.
There needs to be a system, but we also have to think about, and this is again where the institution comes in, and often the smaller institution, not the larger institution, we have to think about service load, especially in advising and caring. And you need to, again, this is that self-regulation cycle. When you're starting to be flooded on a daily basis, you have to look at that load and say, am I trying to take care of too many people? And how can I not make this worse and potentially make this better? Do I need systemic help? And that's what you can go to your administrator and say, I'm having quite a bit of but management difficulty with the service load that I have right now. What can we do to make sure that we can cross this and I can be cared for, right? And that sounds selfish. It is not, because everybody else in your environment is directly impacted by what's happening there.
It's the oxygen mask, right?
Yes.
Like, you cannot put on someone's oxygen mask unless you put on your own first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very true. Like, you're not a sacrificial lamb.
Exactly. And
so you want to be careful about that.
But, and here's the thing, because I was department chair, this is invisible work.
Oh, totally.
And so if you are feeling that way, go have a conversation with a program coordinator, with a department chair, with whoever is the person you're reporting to or can help lessen the load, and say, here's what is happening right now. I need some help, or I need, if you have a hard time with boundaries, you go talk to Nick, and Nick talks to you about boundaries, and we rebuild boundaries, because you need to have some way to surface that load, because that load is not equal.
Right, and one of the things, if I can just throw this in here really quick, as apparently the boundary guy,
Yes.
hi, is people love to throw around care, belonging as a thing in higher ed. It's just what we do. It's the air that we breathe. But is it? Is it? And so being very, very clear about how much time that takes and the kinds of challenges that you are experiencing in being part of that supposedly institutional, systematic culture of care. Like, one of my favorite phrases is, I can't care more than my institution does. I just can't. I didn't decide that every interaction matters was our slogan. I didn't decide that because I wouldn't have. Right? So, if every interaction truly matters, there's people above me who I need them to have laid out a system to make sure that every interaction matters, and when those interactions need different interactions, that there's a system there. And so if I get to the point where the interactions I'm having aren't caring or require a different kind of care, I need to push that up into the system.
So the question really is, how do we really think about developing our own resilience? Because despite everything said here, or maybe because of everything said here, we can't control the institution. We are not the chancellor or not even department chair. We are just faculty. And especially if you're at the beginning of your journey, you are not in a position to change the institution. You're in a position to control the things you can control, which is mostly yourself, your time, and your workload to a degree. Right? By deciding what you do within those boundaries and how do you set your boundaries. So what are some things you can do?
So, I mean, in terms of, I think, one, your own, like, what are your own mental health practices, right? Having clear boundaries around who you are as a person and who you are as an academic. Because I often find that those things get conflated in some pretty unhealthy ways. There was a special talk here on campus that a colleague said, I'm really surprised you didn't go to that. And my response was, I literally don't have time in my workday to go to that. And their follow-up was, well, that feels like it would have been personal development for you. Professional development, maybe, if it were like something really connected to the work that I do in programs or in research or what have you. But personally, here's what I want to know right now. I want to know how to knit socks.
I want somebody else to know how to knit socks.
I want to get to finishing canning all my tomatoes, because apparently
are you still there?
I had a second bumper crop, so here we are. Like, my personal goals are not my academic work goals. After I put in my 9, sometimes 10-hour day, I'm done. Like, Dr. Nick is gone, and I'm back to just being Nick. And my personal development is very, very different. And maintaining that compartmentalization, I feel, is super important. Because unless you're feeding yourself, what's going to happen there, right? Like, you're not going to be able to perform well in your actual job because it is a job. It's not an identity.
And so, boundaries. Talk about boundaries with your students, especially if you're advising. I advise quite a few graduate students. And so, boundaries around advising. My students know that I have an open office hours once a week, and most of them, the vast majority of them, join me at that time. If they have a question, if they have everything, that's when, if they send me an email in the middle of the day with a question, I said, hey, I have office hours. Join me then. Because sometimes I find myself on my own, which is perfectly fine. I can fill my time well. But these are the moments to say, there's a mechanism for that. And
a system.
And that's a system that I grew only in the last few years. As my advising load went up, I'm like, I cannot sporadically converse with students. There's got to be a set time. This is when we meet. If you can't because you're working that time or something else, I'll make an allowance. But outside of that, let's meet then. And most people can. And that's why I open it in Zoom. Anywhere you are, you can hop in, ask your question, get an answer, and move on. And that has helped tremendously. So really trying those practices, thinking about our students as adults is really important. Sometimes we tend to almost infantilize our students. And it's like, if you tell me everything is fine, or if you tell me you're going to graduate this semester, I'm looking at the record saying, probably not, but you're an adult. Enjoy.
I may have some thoughts that I will share with you, but you are ultimately an adult. And if you truly can do it, you can do it.
Yes.
And I also think that like that mindfulness of who you are, the way that you work, and just being really clear with students about how that works. Like, my students know that if you're just coming to me to kvetch, I've got a lot of Yiddish today. I don't know why. Sorry.
It's Rosh Hashanah soon. So
if you're just coming to me to kvetch, I'm not your person. Because what's the problem? How do we address it? Moving on. Like, that's what I have time for. That's what my skill set is. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. That's not who I am.
It's a little bit who I am. So that's okay.
It's not who I am, because like I just want to. This is causing you pain. I don't know that it's necessarily great to like wallow in that pain, and so just being aware of like who you are in terms of those responses, and being okay with it. And being okay with it, because students will figure out who to go to get certain kinds of things. So if they need a little bit more hand holding, they might come find you.
Maybe. Depends on the mood I'm in, too.
Is it Friday?
Is it Friday? And so the other thing is creating islands of time, especially around teaching, around definitely off work time, but even during work time. So taking time just before class, taking time after class. I'm teaching online right now, just making sure you schedule that. So you're not trying to do everything else and meeting with everybody else and then doing the work when you're home late at night. It happened a few times, trying not to do that anymore. So really thinking about how do you take care of you, whether it's exercise, whether it's therapy, whether it's
hobbies. Have a hobby. Do you have a hobby yet?
I don't know that I do. Yeah, puzzles. I do puzzles.
I thought that was a winter months thing.
Well, it's turned into a thing.
Okay, I support this.
Yes. My children support this. I'm a better family member.
Okay.
Also, like they like to share.
Make the puzzles?
So, yes.
We like that. We like that. Okay.
And so, what is the verdict here?
What is the verdict?
Can we actually care sustainability, or are we just doomed to be on caffeine and guilt forever?
I mean, that's how my parents raised me. So that seems like a thing because like here's the cranky truth about this. Like caring is a professional competency, but it's also not a martyrdom contest. Like boundaries, institution, resilience, you need all three in order to be successful.
And maybe a therapist and a treadmill, or maybe you run outside, so that's okay too.
Have you seen my treadmill in my office?
I have not. You have a treadmill in
I
your
have a
office?
treadmill in my office.
It sounds counterproductive to me.
No, it's multitasking. I can both be checking email and on my treadmill walking. It's a walking treadmill.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And that's just great. Multitask, man. Multitasking. Great. But, okay, treadmill aside, the point is, right, when our care needs to be strategic because we're not just helping students, we're modeling a way to be professional without self-destructing. And that's important.
Which, hot take, is better than answering emails at 2 a.m.
One, if you are up at 2 a.m., I need you to go see a professional to get something to help with that, right?
I have boundaries, and I was not up at 2 a.m.
I'm proud of you. I was not up at 2 a.m. either. So try doing this. I want you to be thinking about a caring audit this week. I want you to think about what's draining you, what's energizing you, and whether the help that you're providing is actually sustainable.
And then tell us your horror stories, or maybe stories of success. Misery loves company, but I would actually love to hear some good stories about your strategies. So
he's desperate for them. and I think that's probably our episode.
Yeah.
So care for your students, care for your colleagues, but ultimately care for yourself first, sustainably. And we'll see you in the next one.
yeah.